Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Mik'd Up. Today is Monday, October 6th. It's our first show in our new studio here at Southern Regional Medical Center, our new studio sponsor of Mik'd Up and Tingle & Co. This is Lloyd's second show here of the day. We iron out some kinks, but we're here. We're excited to be here. Got a big show for you today, obviously. Big weekend in sports, whether you're a college football fan, NFL fan, some crazy games happened in the NFL. Obviously, Major League Baseball playoffs have not disappointed. LSU had the luxury of being on a bye through a wacky and crazy college football weekend. LSU comes in the AP poll ranked at number 11 going into this weekend with a home matchup against South Carolina. We're going to get into all of that. Obviously talking about what they did through the course of the bye week to get ready for this week, what they're doing this week to get ready for South Carolina. LSU opens up as a 9-point favorite at home against South Carolina, who has disappointed thus far this season. But they have a talented quarterback, they have a talented edge rusher, and they have talented guys on their team that they can go and beat some teams if you're not careful. So LSU's got their work cut out for them this weekend. Specifically on the offensive side, we've had 2 whole weeks to talk about how bad the offense has looked throughout the course of the year, specifically against Ole Miss. We're going to have Bryce Kuhn on the show here in a few minutes to talk about what he's been hearing in the conversations he's had around the locker room and around the program over the course of these last 2 weeks. I mentioned NFL. The Saints got their first win of the year. They're not going to go 0-17, Lloyd. They're not going to do it. Maybe 1-16, who knows, but they got a win at home against the Giants. That was their first win since they played the Giants last year in New Jersey to get that win. So played well, got the first dub. Spencer Rattler is no longer winless in his as a starting quarterback in the NFL. So that's nice to see. Not saying they're going to go and make this outrageous run and make the playoffs. That's not going to happen. But at least it's nice for them to get a win and give some momentum to Louisiana football, which needed it over the course of the last couple of weeks. So, with that said, we're going to jump into this conversation. We're joined by producer Lloyd, who everybody, I wish you could get the fans in the chat to really give you a standing ovation, because I think you need a little motivation today. I think you're just in a bad mood. I don't know why. I'm trying to get you out of the bad mood. You came in here and you did a really good job of getting some technical stuff going.
That's what it is. I don't like doing
But you walked in here in a bad mood. I saw it on your face.
Well, because I knew I had to fix that confidence monitor, that I knew I had to figure out the Zoom for some reason, which is fucking up. And I just don't like doing that because I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, but you do.
Yeah, kind of.
You don't give yourself enough credit. You do know what you're doing. Listen, Lloyd's wall is going to be decorated. Don't you worry. We got some stuff in the process. We got to get it going, but what you got going?
I had to get the desk.
We had to get the desk. That was
shout
the most
out
important.
To Southern Regional Medical Center for they set this whole thing up.
Shout
I didn't do any of that.
No doubt. We just brought the equipment and they gave us a space, and they're excited that we're here. We're excited that we're here. We're joined by Lloyd. Obviously, great weekend. We'll talk about the weekend. We're joined by our 2-time national champion, 1 time in football, 1 time in baseball. First-round pick by the Chicago White Sox. Top 100 football recruit out of Westgate High School. Played quarterback right-handed, center field left-handed. Co-host Jared Mitchell. Welcome to the show, Jay. How was your weekend?
My weekend was good. I wish y'all would have heard the way my elbow just popped. Just when you think I got a couple of innings left in me. My elbow was
no. Listen,
bro, you need to sit your ass down.
I'll tell you this. I ain't got no innings. 0 innings. I got no pitches.
Well, he's got that
noise is not supposed
to
this
sound. You could be now it's a fad, the 2-handed pitcher thing. You could have been the guy to do that, but
just ahead of my time, man.
You were ahead of your time.
Speaking of, happy birthday, Chad Jones. Was it yesterday?
Chad just had a birthday. Chad. I just talked to Chad yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big brother. We actually had a lot of Chad Jones conversations this weekend, just coincidentally, which was nice. But the conversation that we want to have right now is about LSU football, about the state of LSU football, and about what's been going on and what's been transpiring behind the scenes over the last couple weeks. And to give us that information, we're joined by our good friend of the show, writer for On3 Sports, cover LSU, Bryce Kuhn. Bryce, welcome to the show. You like our new digs? You like our new spot?
Yeah. What am I looking at here?
I missed the intro. We're at Southern Regional Medical Center. It's our new home. So the place that we were, Indigo, and I want to give a shout out before we get into this. I want to give a shout out to Indigo. IndigoPapers.com. Still go dabble on that website. They have grown and they have gotten bigger, and they have outgrown their space, and so they were not going to renew their lease in January. And this kind of came to us, actually came to Lloyd and Noah at Tingle & Co., and they threw our name in there and they said, hey, would y'all want this? They want to make a podcast studio. So we supplied the equipment, they supplied the room, and we're bringing out content out of Southern Regional Medical Center. It's worked out great.
That's awesome. It looks nice. Clean background, too.
And we're working on it. We're working on it. There's some, you can't see the other stuff, but look, in about 2 weeks, it's going to be mint, Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, well, I appreciate
Maybe
it.
this change of scenery can help out Lloyd to answer his phone.
Coach,
Maybe
let me just go ahead and tell you right now, I'm still waiting on a text from this afternoon, and it's got no answer. So I don't think it's
Hey, can I tell y'all this?
That's okay.
I just got a new phone, so I know it ain't my shit.
Hey, you got the new phone. You made fun of me for getting the new phone. You go ahead and you get the new phone.
I did see Jared in the background. I wasn't able to get it on the day it dropped. So apparently, you did some extra shit. I had to wait. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. What'd you say, Bryce? I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I said I can see Jared in the background here on my screen, and I saw he was checking his phone, and I was like, oh, that's the new one.
He got the new one. See, I got the new case and everything for mine. I'm very excited about it. Listen,
you can't hide money. It's okay.
Steve, that's what you think, but what you need to understand is that Daddy lives in the upgrade world. Okay, we don't get new phones around here until we're upgrade eligible. Okay, that's what we're living in.
This is the first one of my life. I'm excited about it. But Bryce, I would not hold your breath on Lloyd.
I just paid mine off.
I tried to.
You
call
don't use
Lloyd
it, so
today.
you should probably just send it back.
I tried to call Lloyd today, and his phone was not ringing, and I was like, "Oh boy, his phone's dead. He's not going to show up to the show." But he was here. He made it, and he got some technical issues figured out. So we're excited because if not, we're going to have to talk to you over the phone, which is fine. I just like seeing your pretty face, Bryce, and the conversation goes a lot smoother this way. So let's jump right into it. Obviously, the big conversation of the last couple weeks is what's wrong with LSU, what's wrong with their offense, what's wrong with Nuss, why is Brian Kelly lying to everybody? There's something that doesn't kind of match up. They had this bye week. They say he's good and healthy. He wasn't going to get a ton of first-team reps because he's going to have a rest day, but he was healthy 2 weeks ago. What is the conversations, and what are you hearing from behind the scenes over these last couple weeks leading into the South Carolina game this weekend?
Yeah, we'll start obviously with what publicly was kind of said today, that the expectation is that Nussmeier should be good to go. When asked about an injury report, Kelly, I guess, listed him on there, which is this whole weird, we didn't get to talk last week, but just this whole weird conundrum, however you want to say, that they've kind of utilized with this. I don't think anyone was asking about him in particular, but he decided to put him on the injury report and say he is a go. Look, he threw the towel. For people who don't know what that is, it's literally just to kind of, keep the arm warm. It's
a big pitching exercise.
Without the stress. Yeah, big pitching exercise. So for baseball fans, you know what that is. But just in terms of where he's at, I was talking with someone who is in the medical space, works in orthopedics, works with athletes, and works with pitchers who've had issues with this, even any type of oblique injury.
What is this? Is it oblique? Is it abdomen? Is it core? What is it?
That's what we're led to think, that this is an oblique injury, that this is something that any type of trunk rotation is going to just be not just painful, but it's going to be minimized to how effective you can be with it. So if that is indeed true, which I'm led to believe, he rested last week in terms of putting stress on that throwing the football. Whether you want to call it there's tears in the oblique, to what extent is this grade 1, grade 2, whatever it is, I do agree with the sentiment that Brian Kelly's saying, that this is not something that wasn't going to get better until you got to the bye week to where he could literally not do anything. I agree with that. I disagree with the decision to play him against Southeastern, if that was the case. That did not make sense. So where are we now heading into South Carolina? You had Michael Van Buren get all the first-team reps. Brian Kelly said today, and I think some people took it as maybe foreshadowing, that he has the ability to step in and make plays if you need him to. But this is Nussmeier's job. This is going to be Nussmeier's job when they take the field on Saturday night, barring anything extra that happens, any type of re-aggravation. My concern is, how effective can you truly be after, what is it going to be, 14 days after not putting stress on that and being able to throw the football? That's something that, unless you were sitting there in practice this week and watching, you're not going to know. But all things, talking with some people that we've been able to take away, is that there was little to no in terms of throwing last week. It was just mimicking a lot of mental reps, however you want to take it. And that's where you sit with this. You sit with essentially a quarterback that you hope that week off did enough for him to be more effective and more decisive. I do lean, guys, and we can talk about this, it's not just a physical thing right now with Garrett Nussmeier. That's where I lean with this. So there are some physical limitations. I think that has crept over into the mental side of the game for him.
Do you see if this weekend, if Nuss doesn't re-aggravate it but just doesn't look effective in the first half of the game, do you see a change in the second half?
Let's play the hypothetical that it's a 10-7 game you're losing, 13-10 game you're losing. I mean, at what point, if you're Brian Kelly, Joe Sloan, and this offensive staff, are you willing to continue to risk this? I think that's the big question. 2 weeks ago against Ole Miss, it wasn't a must-win game, but you could have won that game with a little bit of spark offensively. So you're always going to wonder, what if we would have put him in? I don't think you can go into another game and get into a situation like you're talking about knowing that you have a capable backup on the bench. I'm not saying Michael Van Buren's an All-American, not saying he's All-SEC, but he played 8 SEC games last year. He knows how to move the football. He adds a dimension with his legs. At some point, you have to ask the question, did you bring him here just to hang out, or is he truly pushing Nuss to be better? What was the role of that? NIL, investment aside, all of those things, Brian Kelly has to decide, are you trying to win this season, or are you trying to just manage essentially egos and figure out what you want to do going forward? To your point, if it was me, yeah, Michael Van Buren's getting the call in the third quarter if you don't do anything in that first half and you're trailing or it's a close game. I just don't understand how you can continue to put the same product out there with the amount of data points we have.
Yeah. Jared, you got one?
Yeah, so, I mean, Bryce, I think you look back a year ago and, first off, I'll sit here and I'll talk about this year. I personally circled this South Carolina week as a huge week for them. I know it doesn't look the exact same as we possibly thought it would in the standings coming into this week, but it's still a very talented football team. If you remember back last year, this South Carolina team took a loss at home against Ole Miss 27-3, and then they went on the road this next week. And that's when they finally played an Alabama team at the time who I think was ranked top 10 probably still, and lost by 3 points. And I think that's when they figured out those 2 losses in a row, okay, this is different because they went on that run after that. So this week kind of equals that Ole Miss week where they figured things out. And I think if that team's looking at how things went last year, it was, did we learn from our mistakes because we're pretty much sitting in that same spot? Can we get better a week early? From the LSU side of things, are they looking at this as does it have the feel that team is understanding the urgency in this ball game? Albeit you got a South Carolina team coming in that doesn't have the ranking that probably matches the kind of talent that's actually on that roster.
I think that there is a sense of urgency from LSU's perspective to know your back's against the wall, your margin of error has gotten a little bit more thin to that point. Now, on South Carolina side, understanding what team's walking into your building, you have a team that can't afford anything else. Like, if they want to try to make a playoff run, I don't know if you guys have seen, but what they've got coming up is a little bit ridiculous. Oklahoma, Alabama after this. I mean, it's a gauntlet. A&M's, they're going to make a trip to College Station. So they've got big games down the road, but for South Carolina, to your point, it has to start this weekend. Like, it has to start this weekend. If they could go on the road and steal one in Death Valley, that would be, you're talking about like a season-defining, season-changing type of game, which, to your point, they had some of that over the past, not just last year, but I guess, 2 years ago when they had that crazy run in October with Tennessee and Clemson. So Beamer has done this before.
Right.
My concern on LSU's side of things is understanding, like you said, yes, this isn't maybe as high profile as you thought it was. This is still a team with a quarterback who I think is among the most talented in the country. He hasn't maybe delivered on that. He's quietly been playing better, after the first couple of games of the season. And you also have a guy in Dylan Stewart. Yes, defensively, they're not as deep as they were last year. Just a little stat for you. South Carolina had the most players, last time I checked, that were undrafted free agents. So it tells you they may not have had talent in terms of off that roster last year that was going to get drafted, but they had a lot of really good players on that defense. And obviously some of the guys that got drafted, Kyle Kennard, Nick Eamon there as well. Dylan Stewart is nasty off the edge. I mean, he's just a really good football player. So they have some upper echelon talent. They don't have the depth they had last year. We've seen that through the first month of the season. But if you're LSU, you got to understand what you have in front of you. This is, it's a get-right game, not like Southeastern was. This is a get-right opportunity against a real opponent and a team that's probably better, like you said, than that record indicates, probably better than the lack of a number next to their name there on the scoreboard too. So I think it's an interesting game. I think there's a lot of storylines heading into it. South Carolina needs to turn things around. This is a statement opportunity still early in the season here in the first week of October for both teams, first game of October for both teams, where they need to make a stand or the season could maybe get out of hand.
And the reason I bring that up, just so people who don't know exactly where this thing is for them right now, look, we could sit here and say the urgency should be there to start the year. Of course it should be. People look at different things and people go about things differently. When your back gets put against the wall, it puts you in a different spot. That South Carolina team is coming off of a bye as well, right? They've got 2 losses already. And like you said, Bryce, they're going to play. They're going to come to Death Valley this week to face a number 11 ranked LSU team. Then they're going to play a number 6 ranked Oklahoma team, 8 ranked Alabama team, 4 ranked Ole Miss team, and 5 ranked Texas A&M team. So that, like you said, it is now or never for them, really, truthfully. I think they understand that. And I think that talent matched with that mindset, you're coming into it. Don't look at this as a 2-loss team coming in to start October. I don't really think that that's what the situation is. You have to really play it with a completely different sense of urgency, knowing where they are and how their mindset is, and knowing also where you are in your journey to get where you want to go at the end of the year.
And I'll add to that, you have a quarterback, and this happened across the country. Kelly was kind of asked this about, we love making these big, proclamations about so what's happening in college football. This team's bad, that team's bad, this quarterback was overrated. And he suggests, and I do agree with him to an extent, let things develop a little bit. Understand You're still only 4 or 5 games respectively into your seasons, maybe 6 for some teams. That being said, you have a guy at the quarterback position that I don't need to remind any LSU fans made you look bad for a half last year at home. He is capable of doing that. And I said this, at the beginning of the year, I didn't think South Carolina was as talented as they were last year, but what scared me about them is they had a guy under center that has the opportunity and has the ability to put a team on his shoulders. And if LSU had any, shortcomings heading into that game, that would scare me. So now knowing what we know about both teams, like you said, sense of urgency for South Carolina coming in, Shane Beamer being able to go on the road and get a big win, LSU's offense scuffling. This is not one you can just roll the ball out against because they've got 2 losses and go win the football game. I mean, South Carolina scares me in a lot of different ways, and it all starts with number 16.
Lloyd, you got one?
Yeah, and I just wanted to ask you, because of, I guess, where LSU was health-wise going into the bye week, and obviously they had a litany of things they needed to correct on the offensive end, whether it be play calling, quarterback play, running backs getting healthy. Like, how much could you have actually done to change what you do schematically versus just getting people healthy? Like, it feels like that they had such a big need to just kind of rest everybody, and then it's like, well, during a bye week, we'd like to be able to self-scout, kind of look at yourself and where are we deficient, where can we get better? And instead it was like, all those guys that need to get better can't play.
Well, it starts with, and I'll tease this, it starts with who's leading offensive meetings. Who's holding the play sheet?
When does that? Yeah, if there's time to make a change, it could be where Brian Kelly
that would be the change, right? Because, like, to your point, you got to get Caden Durham healthy. You can't sit out there and run him into the ground in practice during a bye week because he has to get healthy. I would say, from a personnel standpoint, the couple of changes, and I know you asked about scheme, personnel-wise, you could learn more about Harlem Berry, right, after the performance that he had. You could learn more about Carius Kern, and, I wrote about it today, and Kelly talked about it today. They, with the injury to Paul Mavinga and him being questionable right now to go Saturday, they could slot him inside. I love that. I don't think it fixes everything. I think it helps some things, though, too, inside. So you can figure personnel things out. Schematically, you are who you are. You don't just implement a whole new scheme during the middle of the season. Now, what you can do, you can walk into that position room, you can walk into that offensive meeting room and say, hey, we're changing some things. We've got new command. We've got new leadership. And I'm not saying neither here nor there that that's officially happened. I just think that you will see some things differently on Saturday night in how this offense is called. Whether that results in a win resoundingly or a loss, I can't tell you. That results had to be played on the field. But I do think over the bye week, some come to Jesus meetings, some opportunities to self-scout were taken seriously, and there had to be some type of overhaul because, to Jared's earlier point, there's a lot riding on this game for South Carolina. It's kind of, in my opinion, it's do or die for LSU. Like, in October, you've got to know who you are offensively and have an identity. And so I think this bye week, it better be spent really, really getting into the nitty-gritty and knowing who you are.
Bryce, let me ask you a question, because a lot of people are putting a lot of onus on the offensive play calling and the offensive struggles on the offensive coordinator, rightfully so, right? Everybody's coming at Joe Sloan and because of his play calling and not being able to run the football. They brought in a guy from Florida State, Alex Atkins, who is the run game coordinator, right? That was his title. Is there a conversation right now? Like, does the running game fall directly on Joe Sloan, or is Alex Atkins have any influence on the actual run game play calling?
I see. The great stuff about the show is that we can all see what happens behind the scenes, but
Except for Mikey.
but not all the viewers do until Lloyd just put us all three up here. No, I will say this. No, to your point, no. He does not, as much as the title might indicate. I will say that. A lot of times coaches get title bumps to be able to get salary bumps. That's kind of what happens. I will say with this, for people who keep calling for Alex Atkins was the scapegoat in Tallahassee for what happened last year. He was not the problem. He was not also the official play caller for what they were trying to do last year. So when people try to push back against, well, Atkins, see what he did last year, that I'm not even listening to that or entertaining that, because it's such an anomaly and he wasn't the real issue. That being said, where does the lack of run game, where does this fall on? This falls on, in my opinion, Brad Davis and this offensive line, because I don't think you have a bad running back room. Like, I hesitate to how to say this. Even with all the outside adversity, with trouble with the law that you've had in that running back room and different things that you've had, you still have the talent inside there to be able to make some guys miss. You have Caden Durham. I love Harlem Berry. Juwan Johnson is more than serviceable to be an option for you back there. And Caleb Jackson should be utilized better. That's a mind-numbing concept that no one can seem to figure out how to line them up and just let them run downhill. That being said, the lack of development up front from your offensive line, to me, has hurt the run game more than anything else, because there's when you repeatedly can't block or can't stay in front of your guys, can't create holes, regardless if the running back should know this, do this or not, bad habits start to get created. And it was, I guess, 2-3 weeks ago, where I think it was Jordan Rogers talked about this in the booth, that Caden Durham struggled with some things in terms of he kind of bailed out on those stretch zone runs to each side. That is creating a bad habit in the mind, because, truthfully, he doesn't have to say this. Nobody has to say this. You can be a football fan and watch. He doesn't trust what he sees in front of him.
Correct.
So he's trying to make the most of it. So when you repeatedly have to do things like that, it does change your mentality as a player. So to your point, long-winded answer, Alex Atkins can have a say in this, right? Brad Davis can have a say in this. Heck, you guys could have a say in this. Until the offensive line has better players or these guys actually develop, there's nothing that's just going to magically pop. Like that to me is, and what I mentioned earlier, sliding Carius Kern inside, I love that idea, because I think you've been pretty bad at the guard spot. We could make an argument you've been bad everywhere on the offensive line. I held some reservation for Braylon Moore, because I think that ankle injury was more serious and he's been playing banged up ever since that happened. But if you line up Moore and Kern next to each other, one of the easiest things for a young offensive lineman to do is put his hand in the dirt and run somebody over. And at the very least, Carius Kern can do that. He has the strength and the athleticism to be able to do that. If that could be something that maybe sparks this run game, they don't need to talk about it. They need to do it. So to me, it lies more on the offensive line than anybody else or any coach. I think Brad Davis is going to be a person that probably needs to be under the microscope a little bit more, in my opinion, of what we're seeing up front with this group.
So, you mentioned that. I got a question. I think, and I think it fits here in the situation that we're sitting here talking about the running game. Regardless of health or not, are you expecting to see an uptick in work from, I guess, maybe a Juwan Johnson and or Harlem Berry kind of combination? Or are you expecting to see Caden Durham kind of back to what he's done, taking his normal snap count, playing the way he's played? in the past and how we've seen him? Or like, where are you expecting that kind of work or that split to kind of happen, if you will, in your intuition after having a week off, right?
Yeah, I mean, I expect to see Caden Durham's shoulder play the percentage game 65 to 70% of the load. Like, and maybe you even bump it up to 75%. I think that they view him, although it's not necessarily.
So if he gets to 75%, how you think he's pretty close to 100% health at that point?
Oh, I don't. I don't think he is. I don't think he's 100% healthy. I mean, look, ankles are a finicky thing. It takes one cut, one tweak, one plant out there on the field for him to say, yeah, I don't trust it. And then you've got the mental side of it too. So I would say let's just sit between 65 and 70%. How do you break that down after that? I have, beat the drum that Harlem Berry needs to get touches. Like, I understand he may not be polished as a blocker, understanding what he needs to do. The kid is electric. And right now, you need somebody that can make somebody miss. And so if Caden Durham's not 100%, just compare the athlete, and it's no disrespect. Harlem Berry offers way more upside than Juwan Johnson. It's not to say Juwan Johnson's a bad player. That's just how highly touted every single recruiting service, and a lot of people felt like inside that building that Harlem Berry was as a player and as a recruit. So I think that you're going to see a consistent dose of Caden Durham. I think you're going to see a consistent dose of Juwan Johnson with Harlem Berry sprinkled in. I hope, which are two different things, that you see a healthy dose of Caden Durham and you see a healthy dose of Harlem Berry. I want to see more Harlem Berry than Juwan Johnson on Saturday. That's just my personal opinion. Like I said, nothing against the kids. I just think you get a little more upside out of number 22.
Let me ask you this question, because I really don't know the answer to that. I want to know, like, when you sit here, you say Harlem Berry and Juwan Johnson. You got one kid who is literally the all-time leading leader in touchdowns scored in Louisiana high school, and they thought so much of him as an athlete that, hey, I know you've played quarterback your whole life. Let's put you in the defensive backfield and let's play you. So you're telling me that Harlem Berry is that much more electric than a kid that has that kind of background? That's what I want to know.
No. I don't think that he's that much more. I just think he offers more upside out of the backfield. I think he's a little bit quicker. I think that his cuts are smoother. Juwan Johnson's not a bad football player. I just don't think he needs to be, and we saw last year, I don't think he needs to be, or last week, 2 weeks ago, he needs to be running back one for an SEC team. Like, I don't feel that. Now, everything to what you said, 110% true. The kid was dynamic in high school.
Yeah.
Don't want to take, like, not even dynamics, not even doing him justice, what he did in high school. Like, it was ridiculous what he did. Some of the best high school tape in the last 3 to 5 years we've seen. Harlem Berry is that good. In terms of that. So I just want to see more of Harlem Berry than I do Juwan Johnson. It doesn't mean I want to never see Juwan Johnson take the field again. And it also depends on the health of Caden Durham to an extent. If he's not healthy, then let's go with a more split medium. Because we did see Harlem Berry late in that game against Ole Miss get more touches. Was that indicative of what's to come? We'll see. But I don't know. I think if it's 3rd and 7, Jared, 3rd and 6, I want to see Harlem Berry out of the backfield on a passing route more than I want to see Juwan Johnson. That might just be personal preference.
I always said it as this, and obviously, like, I just did the way I think about it is I do think because he spent so much time in the backfield, and if you're going to give him an opportunity to touch the ball, it's easier for him to figure out how to make cuts and read blocks, because that's something that he's done for a long time. I'm in the camp of right now where he's at today. I think it's really tough to give him 15-plus true running back touches inside the tackle with the majority of those, because that's just a different pounding. I don't think he's used to taking that, and I think that's hard to learn how to do in the middle of an SEC season. So obviously,
you're talking about Harlem or Juwan?
No, Juwan. Obviously, okay. Harlem freshman, so he hasn't played at this level, but he has played in between the tackles, and he's done that for a while. I think those two games are different, and I think that has a lot to do with how they've gone about when Caden was out this past week, and how it wasn't just a ton of running back runs and using it that way. That's just how I think it goes. Because it also goes to, once again, if he goes down, what are you sitting there with? You got 2 backs left, right?
Yeah, and Xavier Thomas. That's it.
Exactly. So I think that had a lot to do with it, and that's why I want to know in terms of, like, the health of Caden Durham, where is that, and where do we think that is, and how much is that going to play into how the running back room gets utilized this week?
Well, and I'll say this too. You've got to be creative. So to your point, you are correct. Put Juwan Johnson in situations that are advantageous to him. Lining him up 7 yards behind the quarterback isn't advantageous to him. Like that to me is something he can do. Get him out in space. I go back to the Clemson game where when they utilized him, they were willing to put him in a 3 wide receiver set and throw screen passes to him. Like they were willing to do some different things. Get creative with him. I would treat him, yes, he can run in between the tackles if needed. I would treat him and Xavier Thomas the same if I'm talking about running back, and I guess I use that term loosely.
Bryce, I want to stay on the offensive side of the football, right? Brian Kelly mentioned today in his presser that they're going to focus a little bit more on the receiver rotation. What does it mean by that? There's some guys that are going to get less opportunity. I mean, obviously, like they're not going to rotate them in as frequently, but does that mean that he's going to pick with 3 or 4 guys and they're going to get the bulk share of the plays?
So go back to the Clemson game, and oftentimes it looked like line changes with what they would do at wide receiver. And look, you've got some guys like I think he was asked today about Kyle Parker. Kyle Parker's a really good player. He's just the backup to Aaron Anderson. Aaron Anderson's not going to come off the field a lot. Kyle Parker's done a really good job. You've also had guys that have blocked really well in run situations. Parker being one of those. Barian Brown is graded out as a good run blocker. That's not something that necessarily is bad on the other guys like Aaron Anderson and some of these other players. That's just what they've been really good at. You've got to settle into who can you count on in situations. And I'd like to see Nick Anderson be a bigger part of that. Chris Hilton, to me, still has not found that in terms of what you want out of there. So you have to have some guys that situationally, this is the group we're putting out on the field. 3rd medium, 3rd long. If we're going 3 receivers, we're going 4 receivers. Here's the 3 or 4. And obviously you're going to put Trey Dezerbauer Sharp as one of those guys because they're so athletic and dynamic in what they can do. But to that point, you've got to settle in because one thing that was frustrating, and I go back and I think it was Nick Anderson caught a pass, or maybe Aaron Anderson did. One of the two caught a pass against Ole Miss as they were driving, taken out of the game, 4 or 5 plays off. Like receivers need to be in rhythm, and when it's a lot of times I say, and this is a comparison a lot of people make. When a shooter finally hits that first 3, when a guy's waiting on to get the ball and he feels like he's getting open, and he gets the first one. Let's say it's a 12-yard gain. Then that's like, okay, he's feeling it. He feels comfortable. Now he's in the zone ready to go. LSU has been I've had a quick trigger with some of these receivers, in my opinion. So you've got to let some guys establish because, look, that's what you brought them in to do. I think this is still a really dynamic receiving room with a lot of guys that can do a lot of different things. But you've got to be able to keep these guys in situationally and guys know what their role is. And I go back to Nick Anderson. He's the biggest example because for a guy to be that big and not be utilized like on a hitch route on 3rd and 6, it's mind-blowing to me. And I will say this, if people want to complain about play calling and the utilization of receivers, go look at what C.J. Daniels is doing down in Coral Gables with Miami. They're using him the way he need to be used. LSU fans thought he sucked last year, but it was because he was hurt and they didn't know how to use him. So to me, it's just one of those things where you give a big sample size, you find guys what their role is, and not that they can't play outside of those roles, but they just have to be able to be counted on in certain situations, and they've got to know what their role is.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they've kind of shored up those roles over the course of these last couple weeks. I know you have another show on the horizon, so we don't want to keep you too much longer. We appreciate your time, as always, on these beautiful Mondays. Hopefully we're talking again next week after a win, and the offense looks great, and everybody thinks we're going to the playoffs.
And Lloyd answers a text.
And Lloyd answers. Are you going to be out there? Are you going to be out there tailgating this weekend?
We are. I don't mean to cross promote here, but on 3 Bengal Tiger, we're going to be having a tailgate and a live show.
There you go.
In lot 404, I believe. I got to nail down the details. We'll be posting that tomorrow. So we're going to be hanging out.
What y'all got to eat over there?
We're partnering with some folks. They got some jambalaya they're going to be making, hanging out.
Shit, we coming through.
Yeah, come on. Hop on the show.
Jay, you're going to be here this weekend?
Oh, breaking news.
Jared just announces right here on Monday subtly that he's going to show up this weekend without telling anybody.
There we go.
Cut that.
Let's have a time.
Yeah, I love
so
that.
We'll release the details. I'll shoot it over to you guys, and we're gonna have a fun time. Should be a fun game too. I mean, all things considered, these are 2 teams that desperately, like Jared said, and I thought it was the best thing we've said so far. They need a kick. They need a boost, and so we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. Look, don't text Lloyd. Text me and Jared. We'll figure it out. We'll send Lloyd the invite.
I'm not even throwing Lloyd in the group chat, so it's fine.
Yeah, make them do some content. Put these 2 to work. Get them on the show.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey,
appreciate you, fellas.
Bryce, appreciate you, dude. See you next week.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yep. Hey, I'm gonna say this. New internet's fire.
Gas.
There's no delay and shit. We got people talking over people, which is great. That means nobody's hesitating. Listen. Great. And Lloyd's producing over there. Great.
It just makes you think, how did we do this with, we're doing it off a hotspot. Now we have.
Lloyd, let me tell you what. Hey, I'm going to be honest with you. Go back to your view, please.
I look like I'm in jail.
No, you look like you're about 5'2" right now. That chair is literally swallowing you right now. You look like a little kid in that chair.
There you go.
What about now?
There you go. You look better now.
This is my first big boy chair. I got out the booster seat.
Hey, we got nice chairs. We're going to have a nice chair for the guests in here at some point. It's going to be nice.
That chair was swallowing you because I'm like, why does he look so small? Like
I need you to take a picture.
You look
of
like
the
a
other
miniature
chair.
Lloyd sitting in that chair.
Yeah,
like it wasn't a real you.
It's like a first real job.
But yeah, internet's fire. Bryce, great as always. Bryce, great as always. With the insight, listen, he's at this point.
Mini me. I'd like to introduce you to Mini me.
At this point, right?
It's,
at this point, there's no.
I want to eat the baby.
You're an idiot. Look, see, now Lloyd's showing his personality. He feels good about this. Lloyd's happy about the work that he's done.
Number two.
He's happy about getting the internet going. He's happy about getting the Zoom going.
Yeah, we're back.
We're back. Sorta. Look at you. Look at the nice forehead.
Backs against the wall, just like LSU.
Nice forehead.
That's right.
Yeah. No, at some point.
Like Scadaboo. Like run through a wall.
Hey, Scadaboo's great.
Yeah, fumbles a lot.
Couldn't beat the Saints.
He needs new gloves. He just needs new gloves.
I need new gloves. He got them. Didn't work out.
Some new gloves.
He's a lunatic.
But no, what I was saying is we could talk about all this, all the off week stuff, everything they did to prepare. Look, I'm sure they made adjustments. At the end of the day, you got to show me. You know what I mean? There's nothing. You can talk about everything. We got to do this. We got to do this. He looks good. He looks healthy. He does this. He does that. He's going to move over to guard. All that's great. And all that may help. You got to show it on Saturday for us to believe it. And that's kind of this. That's how it has to be, right?
I think you. I think they're sitting in a spot right now. And if I'm being completely honest, I think the bye week gives you an opportunity to prepare correctly. And I think whoever you're running out there on Saturday night, especially with that extra week of practice, you need health on the field. Like you need some guys that's ready to go that can give you some top line, front line type of performance. And I think that's going to be a real big key of how this thing kind of plays out for them. They've been kind of, limping through the early part of the year. You heard in some pretty key spots. Well, you get a week to rest. You go home and rest a little bit. You get those mental reps for the guys that are resting if they're going to be available this week. And then now when we show up on Saturday, I need those guys to be pretty close to top-end production. I need those guys to be ready to go because this is a big one. I think this is one of those really big games that's going to tell a lot about where they're going to end up on the season. This is a good ball club. It may not be as complete as it was last year, but there could also be, when you're talking about Sellers and you're talking about Dylan Stewart, there's also some top-end talent that's better than what it was last year. So when you're putting that kind of stuff together, you got one that can break you as a game breaker on the defensive side of the ball, and you got the other one on the offensive side of the ball that can wreck everything that you're doing and literally turn you into a team that can't play with him.
Right.
Like he's got that kind of size, he's got that kind of running ability, he can throw the ball a little bit. They have a guy who is an absolute monster as a track star, is like DK's little brother on the outside. So they got some pieces that have a little bit more experience than they did a year ago that if you give them the opportunity, they may really hurt you this week. So I think this is just a big one for LSU because we know how talented the LSU roster is. We know how good the LSU roster can be and this LSU team can be. This is about the time where it's got to start showing up and it's got to start gelling and coming together and starting to glue a little bit more.
And what better way to get back on the right side of things than a night game in Tiger Stadium? You know what I mean? Like they got the night game. I was nervous. As a fan, that after what LSU did last week against or 2 weeks ago against Ole Miss, and really more about what South Carolina's been doing this year, and not really being the team that everybody anticipated them being yet, that the game was going to be earlier, right? Which would have been fine, 2:30 game, fine, but having it being a 6:30 game, night game,
laying the profit.
Obviously, laying the profit.
He gets. I mean, that'll be at night. Of course, if you play LSU, they get the night game. Ole Miss 2:30. It's fine. And
They're playing 2:30 this next
and
week.
I'm sure when we go to Georgia, that'll be.
When do they go to Georgia?
I don't know, but it's just funny because you did get the shaft. I mean, look, LSU's earned it. I would say to a degree to be able to have night games because
Correct.
I think after the way that South Carolina started, LSU coming off of a loss, it would have been easy to put this game in the afternoon.
Correct.
And I do think that there's some of this being the heat factor from last year whenever they, like the UCLA game. I think they're trying to look out for the people in a sense because it was so hot. Like, it's not a good product. It's not good for the sport.
I thought it was supposed to be pretty cool this week.
No, it's going to feel good.
Yeah,
it's going
I'm
to feel
just
good.
saying,
High is
just like-
82, I think, on Saturday.
Just in general, I'm saying I think that's what it make a difference. But also, like, LSU gets the benefit of the doubt play at night, which is great. But then you get the shaft with Vanderbilt, which is a better game.
But every time I feel like every time we do go to Vanderbilt, that is always the morning
well,
game.
that's Vanderbilt hasn't like, as good as they've been the last 2 years. It's still Vanderbilt. Like the schedulers, like put that game at 11 a.m.
Well, it's just the stadium doesn't. It's just the atmosphere is
but
not there.
At some point, it will if they continue on this path. They were that. I mean, Pavia, nice practicing the knee. Should have got on both knees for Alabama.
Yeah. Well, listen, they were, and we're gonna talk. We're gonna talk about. We're gonna talk about this
I mean,
weekend.
who the fuck do you think you are?
I think this weekend.
If you're Pavia,
I know what you mean. Listen, Pavia, that's what he does. He talks a little shit, a lot of shit, and up until that point, he's backed up. And look, they played well.
sure.
Vanderbilt did play well. Pavia did have two big.
Someone played the loss on
They
them.
had two big turnovers inside the red zone, like deep inside the red zone. The fumble was not good. Interception not good. Right? You're up 14-0.
Yeah, that thing, and that's what.
And then you're up 14-7, and then you blew it at the end of the half. That's when the game turned. When Alabama went down there and scored with basically no time left in the second half.
What do they call it, Jay Mitch? Like the middle eight, the last four of the first half and the first four of the second half. DeBoer owned it.
Yeah, I mean that's
where the game flipped. They scored, got the ball back, scored
correct.
again.
And then how about Alabama with the backdoor cover? I didn't bet it, but the line was 11.5, and it was 24.
Did you hit?
I did not. We'll talk about that in a minute. I was getting close, but that was part of it. The over didn't hit. If he screwed me on the over, the two fumbles inside the red zone, one touchdown, which gets me to the over. But
You mushed yourself.
it was 24-14.
self-mush.
Yeah, it was a self-mush. It was 24-14, right? With basically the game was over. And then Jan Miller scores with like 16 seconds left to make it 30-14, hits the over, right? Hits the he covers the spread. So backdoor cover, obviously Alabama, good one for them. Ty Simpson looks really good. Vanderbilt was in that game. It wasn't a 16-point game. It was a lot closer than that. And look, we're going to talk obviously a lot about LSU throughout the course of the week. I want to hit on this stuff, but I also want to talk about college football and like the state of college football and SEC specifically. Florida, Billy Napier, great at saving his job.
Back against the wall.
I mean, unbelievable. That was a ass whooping.
Oh,
We need to sit Billy down at a blackjack table with us when we're on our last couple chips.
yeah,
I feel like that's when we really get it going.
I mean, he's the one that says. I mean, he said it on camera. Did he not? Whenever he was coaching at ULL, when he was like, "Scared money don't make money," he lives that.
No doubt. But, like, let's try to do this a little earlier. Because, look, I think with that
Did he
game
just get an extension?
What that game Yeah. What that game shows you is Florida's defense is really good. Now, obviously, Texas is having their own issues on offense. I thought, look, Arch Manning hasn't been great. I think he's going to be good next year. I really do. He had some bad moments, but I think you saw him have some of his best moments as a college quarterback last week. Right? They're in desperation. He made some big runs. He made some good throws. He just kept coming back after some of the big mistakes. I thought he looked better than we've seen him look throughout the course of the year, even though he made some crucial mistakes. Florida's defense is good, really good. Their offense was able to move the ball against a really good Texas defense, better than they've done it throughout the course of the year. Good for Florida. Florida's going to go ruin some people's seasons this year, I think.
Well, and that's where I think finally LSU gets some credit for a win, right? Like
They should.
It was Clemson. Oh wait, best win of the the opening week. LSU finally gets the monkey off its back. Wait, Clemson stinks. Clemson goes out and blows the doors off North Carolina. First play, touchdown.
Trick play.
what's not a great look for Belichick.
Belichick is.
He was on the microphone of College Game Day 5 minutes before that, and then it's like, are you ready for the game? First play touchdown. Like, all right, fuck this. Like, well, I don't even know what he's doing to his own legacy. It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
But Clemson gets on the board with the win, and then you have Florida go out and look like that against a Texas team that everybody had very much in high regard. They're the number one team in the country before the year. They were either 1 or 2 or 3, and then they go into Florida. And also, Jared, how is that grass that green? It looked unbelievable on TV.
Yeah. Listen, I've mentioned it on the show before multiple times. I'm just telling y'all. And look, LSU got a piece of that last year too, because if y'all remember correctly, like Florida was ass at the beginning of the year, and then the season kind of goes along, and LSU goes there, and that place was charged up. Bruh, I promise you, when you go to Florida and the crowd chooses to bring it, and they brought it against Texas, that is a very tough environment to play in. I'm just being straight up. Both of my opportunities, I got a chance to go there, it didn't work well for us. And I promise you, that's one of those spots. So I'm not surprised that it happened. And look, Florida's got a really good defense. So I'm not surprised going there with a young quarterback like Arch is. Man, that's a tough place to come. In that situation, that's a tough place to come away with a win. And they couldn't get it done.
And that was his first road game. His first
SEC road game. Yeah.
First road
so
game
his first 2 big road games, he's got to go to Ohio State to start the season after they just won a natty. And when Lee Corso's retiring, and then now he's got to go to Florida. That's 2 tough ones. I'm not trying to give him some grace maybe he doesn't deserve, but I'm also not that surprised in terms of, I get it, man. Like, he sat on the bench. He's been there for a couple years, blah, blah, blah. I don't care, man. Like, playing at this level for the first time is completely different. It just is. And I think he's learning that head first. And if you look at the family history, they all got like the bug splatter on the windshield for their first time out. Like, it's just kind of what they do. Yeah. So I'm not that surprised.
Put the face in the fan. I mean, Peyton went out through what? He still has the rookie record for interceptions in the NFL.
Yeah, he still has that record, which is crazy. And look, it's crazy too, because we can sit here and say like, oh man, look at all the tutelage he got. Well, I mean, Peyton had a dad that played forever. So it's like Peyton got the tutelage, didn't work. Eli got the tutelage, struggled with some. And now, like, I'm not surprised.
I think Arch is going to be great.
So, like,
I really do.
That's tough.
I think Arch is going to be great. I think he showed me a lot of him being able to.
He looked a lot better.
And, dude, he was getting fucking hit every single play. And, like.
Their offensive line is not good.
No. And he kept getting up, and he kept running for first downs, and he kept making throws. And, listen, he missed a couple throws, but, like, he had people in his face all day. And so I respect the way he kind of handled it. Here's my question, though. Florida, the way they played at home against Texas. A&M in trouble this weekend?
Yeah, I think you.
Is that who they got? A&M's got them.
Is it A&M? Is it at A&M or?
It's at A&M.
They just had their blackout. They put the Milk Boys in some chocolate milk. Did you see that?
Hey, and I'll say this too. Wait, time out. I'll say this too. LSU didn't get a chance to see him, but that freshman wide receiver, I think maybe Ingram or whatever. I forget his name.
Yep.
Dog.
Yeah, he is.
He looks like Jamar Chase.
Hey, he looked like a grown man already.
Yeah.
Dog.
Yeah, he's a stud, dude. So. Look, Texas A&M, big win against Mississippi State. They won 31-9. Mississippi State. I think that game was a little bit closer. They dominated defensively against Mississippi State. They couldn't do anything. But they got Florida at home. Florida's hot. We saw what happened last year when Florida got hot.
Billy gets hot.
A&M's undefeated. A&M has shown you that they're not used to being undefeated, and they're used to kind of getting back into that middle. They're good. I think A&M's good, no doubt. I don't think they've been tested quite yet.
Because Notre Dame's not who you thought they were.
No, but they.
But that's what we're learning about college football. It feels a lot like it's starting to feel more and more like the NFL, where those first 4 weeks, you really don't know what's what.
Yeah, everybody's still trying to figure it out.
Like,
a lot of new guys.
Yeah,
a lot of new guys.
A lot of like free agency essentially, like new guys on new teams, and everybody's
I think,
figuring it out.
When they opened up this whole portal and NIL stuff and the way it's kind of gone, I think people thought that they were going to see maybe something like this like immediately. It's taken a couple years to kind of like filter in. I think it's finally at the spot where it's so hard to be 2 and 3 deep now, because those 2 and 3, they just take either more money and are a better opportunity, and they go to a different place and play, knowing that, hey, maybe I don't even have to finish my career here or at this spot, but it's a chance for me to get on the field and or make money right now. So they go. Yeah. So it takes those teams that we used to seeing Because listen, here's the inside thing that people don't know about recruiting and they don't know about sports. If I'm a 4-star, 5-star, whatever it is, and I go visit Georgia and I go visit this school and I go visit that school, you know what they're all telling you? Every single one of them, you can come in here and start as a freshman.
Yeah.
You know what they all want to do as a player? They want to go to the biggest school and start as a freshman, right? So then now when they show up on campus there and they realize, oh shit, I ain't gonna start here. In the past, they didn't leave. They stayed there. Now, those guys can leave now. And that's why you're seeing kind of this spread out, the competition the way it is, the parity the way it is. I think that has a huge part to do with what's going on here.
It's just the way
It feels like, based off these teams, I mean, Miami probably has the best opportunity to go undefeated.
I thought, Brian told me that C.J. Daniels was coming back to LSU, right?
Who?
BK?
He told you?
He said it on the podium.
Oh, yeah. That didn't happen.
No.
He's having a good year.
Yep.
You know, they're doing their thing over there.
And that's what and you're going to start to see, I would imagine. I don't know how much money, if LSU is that much more in a favorable position monetarily to where people are just going to come to LSU, but I bet Nick Anderson's rethinking that. I'm sure Barryon Brown's rethinking it. Just where this is not the offense I signed up for.
Yeah, as of now.
Boy, this is what I told y'all to start the year too, especially when it comes to that receiver room. Man, you love a deep receiver room. Like I get it, but there also needs to be identity. And when you got Barryon Brown, you got Xavier Thomas, you got Aaron Anderson. I'm not literally putting them in best order. I'm not giving them a pecking order. But what they do and how they play the game, it's three of the same type of receivers. And then now you got Hilton on the outside, he's almost been a non-factor in the offense, way less than what we thought we would possibly see this year. When you got Nick Anderson on the outside, who has not been as much of a factor as we thought we'd see this year. And let's be honest, for all intents and purposes, you got Trey'Dez Green, who's not going to play a ton attached to the line and blocking, and they're not going to use him in the seams or in a lot of routes. They use him in the red zone on the outside and running those same kind of routes that Nick would be running and or that you're trying to run sometimes with Hilton. So as a receiver room, I'm just telling y'all, man, like I've seen this thing. I know how it goes. You know how hard it is to ask those dudes to continue to run the hell out of those routes Monday through Friday, and then on Saturday, we ain't got at least 4 or 5 balls just thrown to you?
No doubt.
And then we ask you to do it again the next day. Like that is so hard to get that kind of buy-in from an entire group when nobody feels like they're getting that, if you will, right? Like, it's just hard. I don't really know. And I'm not saying that you want a less talented room. But what I am saying is that I guess you probably want to be able to define roles and have dudes understand who is the top 3, who is going to be playing, because that kind of needs to go and people need to kind of work around that situation.
Yeah, no doubt. And listen, Brian Kelly came out and said, we're gonna shore up the receiver rotation. What does that mean? I think you're going to got the guys that he believes in that are going to get majority of the reps, and they're going to go from there. We're going to see what that looks like this weekend. There's always a lot of things that are said. Let's see if it happens.
Oh, yeah, certainly at LSU, a ton of things that are said. But that's here nor there. But it feels like when you talk about Chris Hilton being a non-factor, Nick Anderson being a non-factor, and that's not what I signed up for. It all comes back to Nuss. Like, I think they signed up for a healthy Nussmeier, and then you see the report, give it whatever credit you want to give it to from, Tiger Bait and Mike Scarborough, where he's like, Nussmeier is giving about 30% of the effort that Jaden Daniels gave and that Joe Burrow gave. I don't know what to put into it, but you've seen Brian Kelly mention VR twice in the last 2 weeks since he's had a microphone.
I get that. And
here's just a little perplexing.
And listen, I think that there's some things, okay, he's not seeing the field as well as he should. He's making some bad decisions. I don't care if you are putting in the work or not putting in the work. I mean, I do care. But if you are putting in the work or not putting in the work, that does not affect you as a quarterback with the ability that he has, that he made the right decision on the deep ball with Chris Hilton.
Yeah.
That being, hey, I'm going to put in the work on making throws, that doesn't affect you throwing a ball 10 yards short. You can still make that throw. I could go out there right now and throw a go route when he's open and make that throw. So that tells me if he's not making that throw and he's underthrowing it, that there is some health issue too. But I think there could be a mixture of it all. I don't know.
So listen, dealing with a I've dealt with an oblique injury, right? I missed 50 games, I think, of my 2013 season in pro ball with an oblique injury. Got it hurt, tried to come back too early, hurt it again. What it does do as a player, just telling you right now, I started getting to a spot when I got it hurt and tried to come back a little too early and then started feeling it again, where I was like, you know what? Man, unless I'm really sitting here, kind of pigeonholing first pitch fastball or pigeonholing, let me try to get to this 2-0 count. That way I can get something more predictable. That way I'm taking a more rehearsed swing, if you will, as opposed to trying to move around the zone. It does get you in that mindset.
Yeah,
so the reason why I'm saying that is because if you know it hurts and you can't just let it go, then you also don't want to do off-schedule shit. Right? And so with that being said, is that last second twitchiness of being able to see it and just let it fly. It's almost like he doesn't want to do that because that stuff hurts it more. Mm-hmm. And then when you don't do that, you try to baby the throws or you don't make the throws. And then that becomes the mind game that people think, oh, it's seeped into his mind. Maybe it has, but it's because I'm not on schedule sometimes. Maybe I'm not perfect. And I don't want to push it because that does hurt when I let it rip.
Yep,
and
correct.
That's where the mechanics have broken down.
What's that?
He's trying to overcompensate for something, and his mechanics look worse.
Correct. And that's when you talk about mechanics, to your point, Jared, I ripped my oblique in 2016. I felt I should have been in the big leagues to make the team out of camp. I earned it. I felt like I earned it. I was basically told that I earned it. It was a political somewhat move of like, hey, options and money and whatever. And I'm going to AAA and I'm playing well, and I ripped my oblique 2 weeks into the season. I'm out for 4 weeks. I should have been out for 6. I came back. I'm like, oh, I can manage this in AAA for a few weeks. Let me get back in there, and then whenever I get to the big leagues, I'll be ready. A week into my playing again, center fielder breaks his wrist. I need to go back up. I know I'm still hurt. I'm not going to tell them I'm still hurt, and so I'm going to go there. And what did I do? I started shortening my swing. I started not getting through balls. I started rolling over shit. I did that all year. And then when it started feeling better, ended up breaking my hand, but that's not part. That's a whole different thing. I had to go. It took me a whole offseason to go out there and retool my swing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
You're compensating for something else.
100%.
Well, and I'll tell you this too. This is what people don't understand about obliques. Obliques is one of those really finicky, really. It's just different, man. Like I can remember you hurt, and there's not much you can do at all for an oblique. Like it just takes time, right? And so you're sitting there, you're not doing anything. Well, guess what? When you first hurt it, it hurts to cough. It hurts to stretch. It hurts to do any of that. So then now all of a sudden you get to a day and, you don't feel it when you cough. So you're like, I could do a little bit more. So you start taking these, just these air throws like, let me feel this, or an air swing. Oh, okay, I think I'm good. Let me pick up a bat. And as soon as you're reacting to something, it's a little twinge. That didn't feel great, but I can still go. And then once you start reacting to things that are moving at you and you're starting to be reactionary, completely different feel.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, hey, we need you to get to a spot to where when you're facing stuff that's moving, there's like no feel at all. Because once you kick it up to that next level, that's when it gets me, wow, it's still there. And I didn't realize it was still there. I thought I was good, but now when I get to truly full speed, it's still there. And when that happens, you kind of just go back to right where you were if you hurt it again.
Right. No, correct. And then when you don't feel like you're confident, you're not getting your best swing off. You don't feel like you're healthy. You don't feel confident in getting your best throw off. You don't feel confident maybe dropping the elbow down, throwing the ball, kind of with people in your face, stepping into it. All of those things affect the way you throw it. I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying if he's hurt, and that's part of it, that goes into all of it. Right now, if he did not re-injure it over the course of the year, and it's just continued to stay there and hasn't gotten better, these 2 weeks could potentially help it. Right? Some rest could potentially, if he had gotten towards the back end of it, but it was still bothering him, these 2 weeks could have maybe got him over the edge of like, I don't feel it anymore. I don't know. We'll see. We'll find out this weekend. But I do think that if he comes out and it's sloppy and he's not making the throws that he needs to make, doesn't have to be perfect, but he needs to make the throws and make the right reads. If it doesn't look like that, I wouldn't be shocked if you saw a change. I really wouldn't.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I was always into the camp that, like, if you're going to finish a ball game, then you're probably good to go to the next game. But knowing that if it was this bad and it was tough for him to move and do what he needs to do, then this probably should have been a situation where it's like, hey, we got to protect you from you, because that's the one thing about an oblique, especially when it comes to a football player in a football locker room. Bro, dudes want to go. And that's an injury that's really hard to understand just how bad it is until you're going full speed. So if that's where it was, then maybe you take a spot in that game, in that Southeastern game, and you say, you know what? You guys sit, bro. I know you want to go. I know you want to play. I know you think you're good to go. It's not worth it today. We need you to kind of get to the other side, because if you don't take care of this injury now, this thing lingers. And I think maybe that's where it was.
I mean, we did the whole breakdown of
The throws.
not only the throws, but the how to take care of an oblique, right? Like, remember the doctor from
Yeah, right.
the tiger doctor,
Yeah.
tiger droppings doctor. It was like, rest doesn't help it. And that's what he was saying, is like it's easier to get up and move around and do some stuff with it, as opposed to just like letting the fascia build up, and then it's more of a, you never really get on the other side of it. You need movement to be able to help you, and that's helped Brian Kelly's case for what he was doing against Southeastern. Like, you need live action, you need to play. And now it's, wait, we have to get to the bye week and he needs rest. And he comes out and he's not once again, we're no longer throwing the football. We're doing towel throws and we're handing things off and whatever. But it just feels like this whole thing has become a injury management, as opposed to he's never going to be 100% this year. That's
Right.
just what the facts are.
Yeah.
Like,
That's what it
what
feels
I'm
like.
saying, it's like, and he could look great this week. He could look great Saturday, but you've yet to see it 2 weeks in a row.
Right.
Like, you saw him look good against Clemson because he had the entire offseason to get quote-unquote healthy. And then you have leading into Southeastern, and after that where he gets to sit, and then he's like, okay, look, he looks good because he had time to get healthy again. And then you see it the next week where he's on the backside of it, but then you see Ole Miss where he looks the worst he's ever looked at LSU.
Yeah.
And so I don't think you'll ever see him back to 100%, but I would also be shocked if there's Brian Kelly pulls Garrett Nussmeier for performance. It would have to be before the game, not during the game.
Or if he got re-injured.
So you don't think we'll ever see a Tua and Jalen Hurts
No.
type situation at all?
No, I think they're too tied to the hip. Like, Brian Kelly has pretty much burned the boats with Garrett Nussmeier. Like, that's my quarterback, that's my guy. They have the same agent. Everything is tied together. Every decision
And look,
they
that
make,
could come back and be a good thing
Or-
if he ends up playing well and says, "Hey, listen, this was my guy. I stuck with him." It gives him a lot of confidence, but it also could be a detriment if he doesn't. If he just says, "I'm not going to do this," to the point of we're losing games.
and it's Nussmeier, and it's on the quarterback.
Right.
Where, like, his performance is the reason why you're not playing well.
Yeah. Again,
Or, I
we're
don't
not
know
going.
what
We'll
they're
find
going
out
to
a lot
do.
this weekend. I mean, we are. And I think a big part of that, yeah, Nuss needs to be better, but they need to figure out a way to be more productive and more in rhythm, right? More in rhythm on
They have
offense.
no-
I don't care how you run it or what you do to run it, but there's got to be a rhythm to the offense, and we haven't seen that specifically. Last week we saw that 2 weeks ago, maybe for two drives. The first touchdown drive that they had, and then in the fourth quarter, third quarter, whenever Harlan Berry had the run. Those are the two long drives they had in that game, and that was the only two times you felt like you saw a rhythm. But look,
that Harlan Berry drive was the only time a running back got back-to-back carries in a series.
right. So look, now I was about to say, now you got Caden Durham back. I know Bryce says I don't think he's going to be 100%. Listen, he may not be. He's going to be close, I think. I think he not playing in the Ole Miss game, having a week off, having basically 3 weeks until his next game, that helps an ankle injury a lot, especially if it's not a high ankle sprain. I think he's going to be good enough, explosive enough that you're going to see it. You're going to see a difference. That definitely helps. And I like the Carius Kern thing at guard. If they move him to guard and they put Weston Davis at right tackle, I think that
I think a lot of people wanted to see him at right tackle.
correct. But if Weston Davis is at right tackle and you put Kern in the inside in the interior, the one thing that Brian Kelly has talked about from the beginning was technically he's not all the way there yet.
Physically.
But physically, he moves people, and he is physical, and he is athletic, and he's going to push people off the ball. We haven't really had that on the interior of the offensive line. So,
And Mubenga hasn't been bad. Weston Davis has been the bad. Like,
Right.
I'm not singling anybody out.
Right.
The numbers bear themselves out. He knows that he could play better.
and listen, our
And he's
tackles
been-
are going to have their work cut out for them with
That's,
Stewart.
And at what point, and I'll throw this to both of y'all, do you just say maybe it's not so much on the staff and on the coaching, and they're trying to work around what's happening, and what's currently happening is maybe your team got the injury bug. Like it happens to teams where it's just like you did all of this, you tried to line it up, you have the players, and now but nobody's healthy, and sometimes you're just not.
Look, Weston Davis has been healthy up until last week.
I'm talking about Caden Durham, Garrett Nussmeier.
Oh, it's very unfortunate.
Like at some point, that's who you are. Where you're just like, damn, we never got healthy that year, and it's going to be a what if year.
And that very well could happen, but at the same time,
already happening.
You've got to figure out a way around that.
I don't subscribe to that, Lloyd, and this is, I truly feel this way. It's a catch-22. I think it's both situations. I think you have to understand, as a player, you may sit in that situation where you feel like you're not healthy, but when you choose to say I'm active and you go out there, essentially you're telling everybody that you're what?
I can play.
That you're healthy. And so at that point, we have no choice but to choose to sit here and say, well, this is how we get to judge who you and your team is right now, or else you would either be sitting and not active if you were not healthy, or the guy behind you who's better than you would be playing because he's healthier and better and more equipped to do what needs to be done at this point. So I think saying that we're not healthy, this is who we are, like, yeah, bro, at the end of the day, everybody's dealing with some kind of banged up situation. I'm sure Lenore Sellers has a banged up ankle, or a knee might be tweaked a little bit, or a little bit of a shoulder twitch, but he's going to be out there, right? Like, that's what football is at this point. And so I don't think it's fair to sit here and say, oh, we're just not healthy. No, if we're going to get out there, things got to get done, right? And you can sit here and say what we want about that Clemson team. We can sit here and say what we want about that Florida team. They both had really good defenses, and you found a way to beat those ball clubs. So continuing to go forward on the year, you have to continue to keep finding a way to beat those ball clubs. Because let's be honest, let's not act like they went to Ole Miss and got the doors blown off of them. They could have very well left that with a win. So when you're sitting here and you're doing these things, you are competitive and healthy enough to go out there and be in contention. Now it's getting it across the goal line or getting it across the finish line and finishing those jobs week after week.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, you can't use that as an excuse. I'm not saying you are. I'm not saying you are, but I'm just saying, like,
I think once the year's over, you can look back at it.
If nobody gets healthy and everybody's hurt and everybody's doing this, at the end of the year, you say, okay, it was damn, we weren't. It sucks, but I don't think we're there yet.
No,
I don't think we're there yet. There's injuries every year. You get back from injuries. You've played through injuries. We haven't. I'm not even gonna say that. Actually, I'm not even gonna say anything because
it's just an unfortunate deal the way this has worked out for us. Because I'll continue to go back to this whenever you saw any given Saturday and how much that decision weighed on his mind, whether to go pro or to come back to LSU, because he knew that he had an opportunity to go probably top 3 rounds. He could be a day 2 pick at the worst, and now it's like I can understand why he was thinking that. Like I put up 5,000 yards passing. There's things that I can do to go to the league and go to a very
but in the same breath, Lloyd, breath, he can't decide to come back because he knew that if he had the same year, he could be a top 10 pick.
Right,
yeah, for sure.
Right. Like I don't think it weighed on him as much as you think. I think he understood. Think of where he comes from, man. Like, he's got a dad that works in the business. He knows, like, yeah, I had a great year. Yeah, maybe I could be in contention, but guess what? If you go back to school and you do that again, which, do you think you can do that? Yeah, I think I can do that 100%. Okay, then we're not even going to have that discussion. You will be a top half of day one. And that pays way better than maybe contention. Mm-hmm. I'm in the area. I do think that decision weighs on him today in terms of how he's going about his health. Because maybe he did say, no, I got to play every game. No, I got to be out there, when it may have been smarter to sit down. But I don't think it weighs on his mind about, man, I should have left, man. Look at what I could have done. I think he understands that this was the right decision to come back. Now it's understanding, can I go and can I not? And how to deal with this injury that maybe is a little bit tougher to deal with than maybe some other positions. Maybe.
Correct. And look, it sucks, but look, it's not over. I mean, it's not like he finished the season and he played terribly. Like, he could turn around, have a great next 8 games or 7, whatever, how many games we got left, and him put himself right back in contention.
Yeah, it's still wide open for him to do that, but
no doubt.
I think the situation, what it's currently become, as this offense was predicated around Nussmeier being able to carry it.
For sure.
Because you're seeing
course.
what it looks like without him being 100%, and they have no run game. They have no ability to do anything. If he can't stretch it vertically, you're asking him to find people on crossers and over the middle, and occasionally he can make those throws. But then you saw that get worse in the Ole Miss game where he got sped up and he started missing people behind and high. I mean, you put poor Aaron Anderson in the hospital. So, like, that's whenever it's not all working, and then you don't have Caden Durham be able to play.
Right.
Like, I think
you're starting to get that back.
You have to still think, with all of those things being said, you still went to a top 5 team and lost by 5 points.
And had a chance.
I think you're
one throw away or one play away.
Yeah, you're right. It's the frustrating part, but it's also the realization of, man, we still ain't that damn far away. Nobody said to go to the playoffs or to be a national championship team that you got to put up 50 points a game and that you got to beat people by 21. Nobody ever said that.
That's because we're
all you
spoiled.
got to do is beat the schedule, especially when you're an SEC team and the schedule is what it is. All you got to do is be better than the schedule. So if that's 1 point every game, that's all it takes.
Right.
And I think that's what that team needs to understand, and that's how they're going to go forward. And let's be honest, they have that type of defense to do it. So if we're not going to be sitting here and be a team that's going to put up 45 a game because maybe we're not healthy, okay, how can we make sure at the end of the day, at the end of the game, that when we look at the scoreboard, our shit's lit up a little bit more than theirs is?
Yeah,
that's all you need to do.
How do you find a way to win? Make enough plays offensively, score more points than them, make enough plays defensively, not give up enough points. It may not look the prettiest. It may not be as efficient. You just got to win, find a way to win. That's what good teams do. That's what we're going to see this weekend.
And, I mean, you can
Hopefully.
you can look back at 1 year. Ohio State was doing this exact same thing.
Right.
Like, get rid
And
of
then it
Ryan
clicked.
Day, and then eventually it got to the other side of it.
Correct.
To where, this team, once it started to all click, it's like there's no better team in the country. They can
And you
go
never
play
know.
Oregon.
You want to click early. You just never know when it's going to happen, right? It could happen early on. You can continue to get better, a la 2019. It could happen middle to the end of the season, like Ohio State.
Well, and I think that's part of the problem.
Well, I'm not comparing it. I'm just saying, like.
No, I know you're not. I know you're
yeah.
not. That's my point. It's like,
But
you think about that year and you're like, yeah, that's an anomaly, dude.
Right.
Like,
Right,
those
but like
don't
going into the year, nobody knew they were that good, right? Like
Yeah.
they knew they were talented. They knew that Joe Burrow had the ability to do some things, but then you saw it early and it clicked early. And then from
First
that
game,
point,
they scored
it just
2 plays.
it just kept
But
going.
I
right?
also think of it this way too. Like if I had to think of the course of a year and the things that could go wrong and how you could play, man, I'd rather take some like non-health and a loss here or two early on. If you told me for sure that we're gonna be playing, especially now when 12 teams get a chance, that we're gonna be playing our best ball by Halloween and through November, I'd take that all day. I don't
No
care
doubt.
what the first half of the
No
situation
doubt.
is, as long as we don't have enough losses that take you out of the equation, I'll take that every day.
Correct.
And
Correct.
I think that's part of the issue with the narrative of this LSU team. LSU looks back and like the fan base, when you look at a national championship team, you've had something to hang your hat on. But then it was always LSU in the defense, and then in 2007 they kind of had both, and then 2011 it was the defense that got you to a title. 2019 it was you're the best team anybody's ever laid eyes on, and now that's what people expect if it's a national championship at LSU. It has to be perfect.
Right.
And right now it ain't perfect. It won't ever look like that again.
No.
And people have it. It just feels like people don't realize that there's a reason it's considered one of the greatest teams of all time. Not just one of the greatest teams in LSU history. Greatest teams like line it
Correct.
up against anybody.
Well, and that's
in
why I'm-
history. And you feel like that team could beat anybody.
Right, and that's why I'm cautious whenever I talk about it. I don't ever say 2019 to compare. I say
It doesn't have to be
2019
built
in
like
a
that
sense
to win a
of,
natty.
huh?
It doesn't have to look
Yeah.
like that to
No,
win a natty.
I think that's the perfect way to say it. Yeah.
In a sense of like, hey, they clicked early, they got better, it was an anomaly, they were that good, whatever, right? Ohio State's a great example. They were just getting by last year.
They lost to Michigan, who
No
was
doubt.
good.
And they weren't, and then all of a sudden they clicked. That was the end of the year. And they were like, holy shit, this team looks like they're the best team in the country, right? And so as long as you keep doing things, you just keep getting by and keep figuring out ways to win, right? You look, Ole Miss is number 4 team in the country right now, right? They're a good team. You played them at home, played bad, and almost won. So,
And the historic part of that is the last 3 or 4 years, or the last 5 or 6 years, it's literally been they've traded wins on home turf.
Right.
So like following the recent history of it, it was going to be tough to go in there and win. Now, that's not what I thought. I expected them to go out there and play better, especially because I
Correct.
expected more health from Nuss. That wasn't the case. But that's what I mean. It's not the outcome of it in terms of what is going on right now. You can't look at it and be like, oh, man, I don't know if we got it. If we don't got it, then who does?
Right.
Yeah.
Those three teams ranked ahead of them. Who the hell does?
And look, and I say this, and we're going to find out a lot about it, but Nick Saban always says teams that play bad and win don't ever learn anything.
Yeah,
right?
You keep getting away with it.
You keep getting away with it. You play bad. You don't learn lessons that way. Sometimes you only learn a lesson whenever you play bad and you lose, right? And so, this has been brewing over the course of the first 4 games. It hasn't been efficient. It's been a little sloppy. There's been there's been no rhythm to it. But you've gotten through games. You beat Florida. You beat Texas. You beat Clemson. You look good offensively against a bad Southeastern team, but it'll things are looking up. Then you go and you play bad. You lose on the road against Ole Miss, a team that you thought you probably should have beaten. On paper, you're probably better than them talent-wise, right? But you don't win that game. And so now you got an off week, and it's like, all right, what do we learn? All right, we learned that we have to be better on offense. We learned this, we learned that, and it's up to them to go and make the adjustments and fix it. We're going to find out on Saturday if they did that. I'm excited to watch it because I'm in the camp of I don't ever want to see them lose, but I'm in the camp of, when shit goes wrong, I'm excited to go out the next time and show you that I fixed it or that I'm better or I'm not as bad as I was, right? And so I think you're going to see that. I think you're going to see that this Saturday.
I
think it's a good opponent to see it against.
And this was billed as going into the year as like going to be a top 10 matchup, top 5 matchup, and game day and all that shit was going to come to Baton Rouge. That's not the case. But lest you forget the talent that they have.
Oh, no
whether
doubt.
it be Sellers or Stewart on the defensive side, that they had to pay like $1.8 million just to come back, and that guy can ruin your Saturday because they'll put him. Guess who they're going to identify first? The right tackle.
Right.
And he's going to line up over there,
right.
And you're going to have to figure out a way to block him. And that's where LSU gets hamstrung because once you start having to make concessions to the defense, it takes away what you can do offensively.
Right. And with that said, right, had LSU gotten through
Florida,
the Ole Miss game, and with a win, and they're undefeated, and we're riding high, and we're ranked 4, 3, 2, whatever they're ranked, going up against South Carolina, I probably would have felt not great. I would have felt like this is a game that South Carolina could come in there and they could upset LSU because you hadn't been punched in the mouth and said, "Damn, we gotta fucking change some things." You know what I mean? And
I'll say this.
I feel better this weekend than I would have if they're undefeated, and that's gonna sound a little weird, but I do.
No, I agree.
The only place where South Carolina truly scares me defensively and what they do is they got 2 weeks to watch the tape where Ole Miss kind of showed you a blueprint of how to stuff and and put the LSU offense in trouble by only rushing 3. So when you got someone as dynamic as Dylan Stewart, that part of it is like, all right, how are we going to figure that thing out after 2 weeks? Because the team they just played showed us the blueprint of we don't even need to rush 4, or they didn't need to rush 4 to not only get pressure but to confuse you on the back end. So they made it tough on both of those spots. So it's like, all right, how are you going to nullify what that how they do what they do up front defensive wise? That's the part that I kind of want to see. You're going to have to be better than what you were because you have a truly dynamic player, truly dynamic pass rusher coming in, and that's going to be the one that's tough to deal with.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Look, we had all week to talk about this, but I think that's those are the things that we're going to see. What adjustments have they made? And honestly, what does the offensive line look like? I think that, based off of what you saw at Ole Miss, that's going to look a little different, especially if Kern's inside and you got Weston Davis back on the outside. Obviously Weston Davis didn't play. Kern got his first start at right tackle. I thought for it being his first start, it looked pretty good. We're getting crushed in the interior part of the offensive line. Maybe that fixes it. Maybe that makes it better. I don't know. We'll see. But I can tell you this: the last couple of weeks, they have, from what I've been told, is it wasn't a bye week. They obviously didn't do shit to hurt themselves, but They didn't treat that as a bye week, which
Well, it wasn't
we'll
a
find
true,
out.
and that's what I was kind of asking Bryce. Is it wasn't a true bye week to be able to self-scout, reevaluate. It was, let's set this shit back to 0
correct.
and get healthy. So you
Get
really-
healthy and let's figure some shit out.
right? And you can try to figure, but if you don't have the guys to be able that you want to use to figure it out with, it's just another step. It's a half step instead of a full step forward.
We'll see how big of a step that was. All right. Let's we actually didn't even talk about how disastrous the Penn State game was
For whom?
for Penn State.
Who watched that? I wasn't even. Did you watch it?
I didn't watch
I
it.
was never interested in that game because I was like, nah, I'm good, bro.
I didn't watch it.
I know.
and then,
I know enough of what I need to know about Penn State. I'm good.
And then I turned it on at the very end when I just wanted to see UCLA beat them. You know what I mean? I just wanted to see it happen.
They almost.
Almost blew it.
Yep.
Um,
But no, that was fantastic for me. I feel very validated in my Penn State takes. UCLA was supposed to be defeated this year, and then you go. And this is my curtain call was to Neuheisel.
well, let's
OC.
get to it then.
Okay,
Let's
we'll
get
do
to
that
it.
one first.
Yeah, let's get to the mistake of the day first, and then you get to that.
Okay, absolutely. Mistake of the day.
I don't want to ruin
Brought
your.
to you by Southern Regional Medical Center. Mistake of the day.
Hey, brought to you
Why
by
not?
Southern Regional Medical Center.
People continue to make this trip despite having no ability or knowledge of what they're doing, just to do a bucket list item. And are we sure that if it were easy, everybody would do it, but for some reason everybody wants to do it? Nearly 1,000 climbers are trapped on Mount Everest by a blizzard, while several hundred are safely down. The majority are still stuck, as reports of rescue efforts are underway while authorities and locals in the area are teaming up to get people off the world's tallest mountain. 350 people are safely down, but over 700 are still fighting the brave elements. A large snowfall began Friday night, pelting the eastern slopes of the mountain in Tibet, a popular spot for hikers. Reuters reports authorities have made contact with the remaining hikers on the mountain. Also, reports of heavy rains in Nepal have triggered landslides and floods, which have led to the death of 50 people. Mount Everest, easy to climb, yes or no?
Probably very difficult.
K2, one of the tallest mountains in the world, and apparently it's become a tourist hotspot where they just kind of do it themselves. Now you're all stuck on the top of Mount Everest with really no way down. That's the way you're going to go.
Yeah, that's tough. Listen,
That sounds
I
goofy.
know a lot of people.
Picture.
There's a few things that like
Don't interest me.
a lot of people like want to challenge themselves. There's a few things that I don't want to have any part of.
Marathon.
Never want to run a marathon. Never want to be part of an Ironman. And I never want to. I never want to hike.
I don't need to climb Mount Everest.
I don't need to hike
I don't even
Mount
want to go hiking.
No, I don't mind hiking, but like I ain't climbing Mount Everest.
I just don't understand the appeal to. I guess you say
Hiking's fine. Like I don't mind it because you get to do some stuff. It looks cool. You get to be in cool sites, and like you're never really in like crazy danger if you're not going free climb a mountain. You know what I mean? But like, I ain't doing that. No.
And then this is on the heels of I think he was a Swedish guy, did it by himself, came back and biked like 500 miles after, and just was like, that was not that hard. And now all these people are stuck up there.
Yeah, that's
Tragedy.
tough.
Like, don't do it.
That's
If you're not skilled enough,
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. That's not me. All right, let's get to your curtain call.
I mean, it's like you want to hop in the box against Randy Johnson.
I would.
Yeah, but you're a good baseball player.
No, right. Like, yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
John Kruk didn't even want to do it.
I mean, not saying I'd have any success.
no, but you would feel a little bit. You'd have, you have a reason to want to.
Yeah.
If you're in special PE, or as my coach called it, honors PE, the regular classes.
There you go.
Like, I don't think you want to face Randy Johnson. That's a dangerous set of situation of like you're not going to enjoy this at all.
Yeah.
Same thing for climbing K2.
I
Let's
would,
go climb
I would
Everest,
want no
honey.
part.
Oh, take a picture. I'm dead. Good. Good for more for me and you.
All right. Your curtain call
Oh, UCLA. And I don't know if you saw this. I'll pull it up. Let me get the Twitter.
of Rick
Yeah,
Neuheisel?
Rick Neuheisel watching his son coach was one of the coolest things. That, like, y'all are both about to be expecting fathers. I would imagine that this moment would be very,
doubt.
very cool of being able to watch your son coach in his first game. And he was a coach himself. And how he is, like, coaching him through it. Be like, good timeout. Run the ball here. Like, it was just an incredible thing to see. And then the son comes out and says, like, I don't even know how to work the headset. Like, there was multiple times I was pressing the wrong button.
He was talking with the mic up.
With the
I
mic
saw
up,
that.
mic down. It's like
Yeah.
he was coaching at NCAA, where it's like, I'm not even talking to the headset. I don't know what's going on, but it keeps working. And he said he put in the effort. He was like, I probably slept a handful of hours over the week to get to the perfect play calls. And he goes, but I forgot how to call them.
Damn. And they won.
And then they win, and they beat a Penn State team that deservedly so should get their shit pushed in because they're not any good, and they continue to be overranked. Hopefully this is a loss that puts them out of the playoff conversation.
Well, they're out of the top 25.
That is, they should be.
Yeah.
And they were everybody's darling and picked to win the national championship. I told you, Aller
Not one
stinks.
time did I ever say, "Oh, they're gonna win it." They haven't shown me that they are who we thought they were.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've always said this, man. I'll die on this hill too. I get it, man. Team may come back loaded with all these players here, left and right. But when you can show me a program that hasn't really gotten it done on that level, it's hard. It's hard for me to place you at the top, no matter what's back, and that's where Penn State is.
Yep.
By the way, this kid doesn't look like Rick Neuheisel at all.
No,
so
he looks like he's out of Central
doesn't.
Casting. He looks like a Lannister.
What a great moment for the whole Neuheisel family.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Jared, you got one?
Yeah, I sent it to Lloyd. I don't know if he could probably pull it up. It's in his email. It's in the DMs. It's all over the place. Find it. Kind of pull this up. But, man, look, the vibes are, like, at an all-time high. They obviously got this culture thing really right over there in Detroit. And I like to give a shout to my dog, my brother, Kelvin Shepard, who was obviously the DC there, was also my classmate, same class coming into LSU. But there's a video circulating around with David Montgomery, the running back there, who had his sister in attendance after being hospitalized and then paralyzed after a car crash. Her first time getting to see him play in person because he's from Cincinnati, so they came to the game in Cincinnati and got a chance to watch him. And the video is pretty cool, man. There's nothing else to say about it. If you're the tear jerking type, you might not have a dry eye, but I enjoy seeing stuff like that because it gives you, whether you believe it or not, it gives the players a crazy jolt, and I'm sure that's something that the rest of his team knew as well. And kind of getting to see that is a special situation.
Yeah, here it is.
And earlier today, they.
Yeah, that's pretty sick.
Can only imagine what that family was going through with her in that situation, especially over the last year. And then for this to be the first time she gets a chance to come and see her brother play, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty
He
awesome.
scores a touchdown.
He scores a touchdown.
And then they had there was Bengals fans like giving her high fives after he scored. Like it's just
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
That's
Yeah.
what makes sports great. Like,
Yeah. That's what makes sports great, like you said, man, because like it's Bengals fans. They're wearing different jerseys. They understand what's going on. They understand they're not winning the ball game, and it's here. I love stuff like that.
Yeah, no doubt. On a different note, Bengals stink without Joe Burrow, huh?
Oh man, that guy! Have you seen that guy's Twitter account? That like he considers himself a quarterback guru, and he was like, "You'll all see how good or how overrated Joe Burrow is whenever you see Browning put up the same numbers that Burrow would in that offense." And it's like, brother, he thought Jaden Daniels was the worst quarterback in the draft.
Somebody
lost a lot
made the
of
take
credibility.
that Jake Browning was the best backup in the league too. Yeah, that's not going good.
Yeah, he lost a
I
lot
mean,
of
they
credibility there.
they scored points.
Yeah, at the end when it was desperation,
Yeah, that's
he
what
was
I'm
just
saying.
throwing shit all over. The touchdown he threw to Jamar Chase. Oh, what a great throw! And then they were
What do I
like,
have
yeah,
to
he just said,
lose?
"Fuck it, we have already thrown 3 interceptions." Jamar Chase, 3 tackles.
Uh-huh.
At one point in the game, he had 4 receptions and 3 tackles.
That's that. Who was it? Larry Fitzgerald's stat line.
Yeah.
Where he has more tackles than drops.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was ridiculous. All right, so my curtain call could have gone with the layup.
Maybe Les Miles was right.
What?
Maybe he should have been a DB.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what.
That's what Les saw.
Yeah,
Tackler.
I'm sure that's what he saw.
No football.
My curtain call could do the layup and give it to the Saints for getting their first win of the season. I'm not going to do that. I am going to give it to sport as a whole. We've talked about this a lot with this month, but Major League Baseball never disappoints. The postseason never disappoints. If you haven't paid attention to it, this postseason has been electric. There's been unbelievable games, unbelievable finishes from the start of the start of playoffs until right now. Dodgers are beating the Phillies 4-1, or it was 4-0. The Phillies are now trying to figure this thing out with Schwarber on. It's going to come down to the last out, last inning, like it has in so many times this year. And so my current call is just to baseball in general. Playoffs have been electric. They have, for the 3rd straight year, increased attendance to the course of the season. For as much as people think baseball has fallen off, feels like they're making a comeback.
There was playoff. Dude, you can't beat playoff baseball.
Can't listen. Out of all of the sports, basketball, football, baseball, hockey's pretty close. I think hockey's pretty close. But to me, baseball is the best playoff atmosphere, or the best playoffs of any of the sports.
Yeah,
Anybody can win any game.
the Rosillo had a great take on this because he used to work for the minor league team and for the Boston Red Sox. Like, used to live, breathe that. He's like, if you didn't watch 162, I don't want you fucking talking about the sport.
Right.
Like, if you weren't into why did you throw a 2-2 in the seventh, and you're gonna tell me it was a changeup when it was a cutter, like, I don't really just respect your opinion. He goes, this is the first time I've watched it as, I'm just tuning in for the playoffs. He goes, this is way easier.
Yeah.
You just get to say whatever you want. Like, why do you do that?
Right.
It's like without the hindsight of having I know everything about this. Like, I just get to enjoy it as like a regular casual.
Oh, why
fan.
does he throw this pitch? Well, because he doesn't really throw that pitch.
Right. So that was like the way he described it was like dealing with his own emotions because he was so into it for a time where it was, if you don't do it the way I'm doing it and cover the sport legitimately, why am I talking to you? He's like, oh, I see why they were doing that. This is way more fun.
Listen to me. If you are a fan that watches all 162, holy shit.
I mean, I watch every LSU game.
Yeah, but that's
only
56 regular season
That's a
games.
different
Well, we
conversation.
get to about 80.
Yeah, when you make it the postseason, but like
But that's-
162
but that's
is
where
wild,
But
dude.
that's where I know it's half of a professional season without the playoffs. But that's kind of where I resonated with
struck
it
him
because,
out.
you have to deal with that. I do too, and you do too. Where you're only watching like I'm watching.
right.
But so it did sound like fun just to tune in whenever they got to Omaha. I'd be like, why are they bringing him in?
Correct. Correct. No, I get that. Look, but college baseball is a little easier to follow. Not as many games, more days off in between, all those types of things. But look, if you watch 162, more power to you. But
I mean, you come to a midweek when it's Northwestern State in town, you get 10 runs, and you have to sit there and eat it.
yeah, I don't do that either. I'll
No,
watch
I-
it.
yeah.
I'll watch it, but I ain't gonna be there. All right.
Well, that's why you don't get in the club.
That's why I don't get in the club. That's why you got the connections now.
You get grinded all the way through it.
That's all we got for you on this beautiful Monday. Great night to watch sports. You got obviously Monday Night Football on tonight.
Who plays?
Monday Night Football, you have the Chiefs. They're playing in Jacksonville.
Oh.
Yep, going on right now.
Sir Purr.
Duval. What did the coach say? He's trying to get real call. Duval.
Y'all did that way too easy. I'm not going.
Duval.
You got that game going on. You obviously have the Dodgers, Phillies.
I feel like Tone Diggs
right now.
over here.
Huh?
I feel like I'm in Tone Diggs' spot with his new setup.
Looks good on
I
you.
mean, thank you. I need a cowboy hat.
You need to get. We can get some decorations behind you. It'll look even better. And then you got the nightcap of the baseball game, which is the Cubs versus the Brewers.
Oh,
It's your Cubbies.
they got shellacked earlier.
I think it's the Cubs. It's the Cubs versus.
What
Brewers.
time's that game start? Is
Eight?
it already
Yeah,
on? You got to be
they
on
need to
already.
They need to put the West Coast teams later.
Well, this is playing in Philly.
Right. I know, but I'm just saying, they need to figure this out. There's two Central teams playing. And make them play at 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah, Cubs Brewers are playing at 8 o'clock. They start at 8 o'clock.
Oh, that's pretty late.
It's pretty late.
But that was almost a curtain call. Did you see the Cubs fan whenever they were clinching, the guy that was sitting front row in the rich people seats, not a rich person, was wearing everyone out, was in Tatis's ear the entire time.
Oh,
he was
I love
the
that.
first one to stand up when the go-ahead homer was hit in the bottom of the eighth. It is everybody on Twitter was like, this guy's willing the Cubs to a victory. It's he's the only one in those the first row
That are in those
he's
that are
standing
chirp.
up. Yeah, that was doing the deal. He's put more put
those
more of the
guys
common
there.
folk in the front row.
Yeah, no doubt.
And it was awesome. When Wrigley's right,
Oh,
which it
it's-
always is, but when there's people,
when they're in the postseason,
When
it's
there's
great.
hope.
yes,
Anthony Rizzo had the voiceover. Yeah, that was great.
Cub for life.
That was great. No doubt. Retires a Cub. Special assistant in the Cubs right now.
Nobody has to worry about that.
What?
Nobody has to think about that. He never left.
Right. He's always
Same
been
thing
there.
with Chris Bryant. Always
That's
a
it.
Cub.
Chris Bryant. Bad decision to leave. Huh?
Oof.
Just fell off into oblivion. Not great.
Bad air.
Yeah. All right. That's all we got for you on this beautiful Monday. We'll be back live in studio on Wednesday from 6 to 8-ish. We'll have more conversation about LSU, South Carolina. We'll have, obviously, more conversation about what's going on in the baseball world.
Hopefully Zoom works.
Hopefully the Zoom works. It worked,
I have no idea what I did.
but you did it. You got to where at least I know you can do it.
Yeah,
So now I'm going to be on your ass.
Unfortunate spot.
Now I'm going to be on your ass. 'Cause at least I know you can fix it. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you can't watch us, but you like listening to us. We're anywhere you get your pods. Thank y'all. We love y'all. See you on Wednesday.
Give us the fireworks.
Peace.
Give us the fireworks. New studio fireworks. Come on. Come on.
Hey,
Yeah!
new studio fireworks.
See y'all.